Hello, good afternoon. My name is Aubrey Cox, and I will be going over IDEA and the IEP process to you guys today, informing you, families and parents and students and guardians about this and how this correlates with students that are in public school, charter school, and how this affects them. So, with the IDEA, it requires states to have schools that are open to the public to proper education to the students with disabilities. And this is part of a federal law. So this grants families and students free education to support their students' needs. So a few things from that is focusing on implementing fidelity of evidence-based practicing, advocating for the rights of all students to be educated in an inclusive environment, which correlates with the least restrictive environment, which is something I will touch on in a few. Then there's a few other things here that touch bases on everything, such as examine and challenge our beliefs and behavior practices and policies, learn the language of the law, and realize the impact of our IEP decision on the student outcome. And which is most important to me is engaging families in collaborative conversations, because at the end of the day, we all have the same goals and want the student to reach success in the classroom and success outside of the classroom as well. And coming together, all parties coming together can help achieve that. So with the least restrictive environment, it goes back to students being included and students not only being in the special educational classroom, but students being in a general classroom as well. And while they may have some strategies implemented and some accommodations made due to their disability, but some students shouldn't be in a special educational class or separated in specialized schools. Some students can still be in a general classroom and still progress and make strong strides and reach their annual goals from their IEP as well. So with the referral and evaluation process, students are always evaluated to determine whether they need an IEP or not, and parents must grant permission for that, and there must be like evidence supporting that the student should be evaluated, that there are signs that the student may have some disability or may need some special educational services or support to help them. And the determination is that there are 13 different categories that qualify students to be covered by IDEA. And a few to mention is autism, being deaf, being blind, having hearing problems, having speech problems, having a traumatic brain injury, and then other multiple disabilities, such as sometimes being a disabled student, being born with certain disabilities, such as being in a wheelchair, not being as mobile. But if for example, if a student has ADHD and the student is excelling in school and doing well in school, they may not be covered by IDEA because the student it's not impacting the way that they learn or affecting their ability to learn. So that may be a challenge for some families that feel that their child needs that help and support, but they may not get it because the child is doing well without it. So some IEP components are basically IEP is a written statement from the educational program designing them to meet the child's individual needs, which can be a plethora of things depending on the student's disability or special educational needs. And with IEP, they help students reach their learning goals, and they're tracked yearly and they're tracked quarterly as well to progress and see if the student is making progress and strides and the strategies are working. And most importantly, creating realistic goals, setting goals that the student can achieve and things that we want to see happen over the course of the school year. Another thing is procedural safeguards. So with procedural safeguards, parents' rights are always ensured and regarded in the decision making and within the IEP process, because parents play a major role while they discuss the symptoms or discuss some things that the doctor may have said or outside other services may have said, and they tell the school and let the school know. And if there's a conflict amongst the IEP team with the decision making, the parent has the right to make a decision, because with their parent right, and they can invoke that parent right to decide what they feel is best for their student, what strategy they think will help or what strategy they feel like it won't help. And parents sometimes have the right to decide that. And then when it correlates to the prior written notice, the prior written notice serves as a vehicle of communication between schools and families, which is important. As we said, we all have the common goal. We want to see the student succeed. We want to see the student thrive. And with that, parents will always be informed ahead of time of the services and if their child can or cannot receive certain services, and will always be notified of any changes in advance. And then related services in New York, many other states similar to New York have other services that best support students, which may not always be an IEP. The idea, therapy can help. Having speech therapy, having physical therapy for students that may not be as mobile or suffer from injuries. And then counseling services also help as well as a support system for students as well who may struggle with mental health or anxiety or depression or ADHD. And then there's schools always have ways of supporting physically disabled students for mobile support, such as having an elevator and granting the students access to that elevator. And here's some of my resources. And thank you guys so much.